Down these old creek bottoms here, it's a perfect place to see some of this stuff that's normally unseen by people. Get off of these trails and down on these old thick laurels where people don't normally go. Well, good morning, everybody. How we doing today? It's a beautiful morning out here in Appalachia. A little chilly this morning, but we'll come back with you with another video, I hope, here today. And we're going to do something different than I've done on this channel before. We're going to talk about and we're going to get into some folklore of the Appalachian Mountains. A little bit of superstitions, and talk about cryptids a little bit, of things that's been seen through the years in the Appalachian Mountains. And later on today, in a little while, we're going to go, me and the girls is going to go walk the Polk Trail, which it's got a story behind it. So I'll get into it just in a minute, kind of give you a rough idea of what we're getting into today. But first I'm going to go over some of the, just a few. There's a whole lot in the Appalachian Mountains that's been talked about through the years, and I'm just going to go over just a very few of them. Got a list here. You got the Bell Witch. You got the one that everybody likes. It's Bigfoot. They call him different things: Sasquatch, wood boogers, Yahoo, skunk ape. It's all depending on where you're located at. You got the Brown Mountain Lights. You got the Wampus Cat. One everybody likes up in the northern part of West Virginia is the Mothman. So, okay. Let's get into the superstitions, the sayings of Appalachia. A lot of these sayings are sayings that my parents have said, my grandparents have said through the years that I remember them talking about. My daddy used to say to me, he said, "Son, never close a knife you didn't open." So, if you was using a pocket knife and you'd opened it up, he'd want you to close it if you opened it. So that's some sayings that was said years ago. Always go out the same door you came in. If a chicken crosses, if a chicken crows at night, there may be a death in the family, or a death. It says don't walk under a ladder. If you do, back out walking backwards. Don't let anyone sweep under your feet. That throw salt over your left shoulder for good luck. My daddy used to do that all the time, years ago. If you drop your fork, means a woman is coming to visit. If you drop your knife, a man coming to visit. Hang a horseshoe upside down to keep good luck from running out. Open the window when someone dies and cover all the mirrors so the soul can leave. I've heard that many years, I have. So that's just a few of the few things I just wanted to cover of some of the sayings and the superstitions that people used to do, and a lot of people still do here in these Appalachian Mountains. So let's get into the story that we're going to do today, actually. And we're going to go walk this trail, but first I want to tell you a little story about the trail. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is the Polk monster. This has been seen here supposedly on the Twinfall State Park here. That's where I'm sitting now, about by the falls. This story's been told and told and told over many years. There is one story that they talk about. It's called the Polk Hollow Monster Sitting Tree. It's about this guy that always went to this same tree back here, this holler. He would sit and hunt and just sit and watch squirrels and shoot his rifle and stuff like that over the years. And he called it his sitting tree. But look what happened at his sitting tree one day when he went to visit it. It was late fall 1942. Most of the leaves had fallen on the ground. Big Jim thought maybe he'd take his .22 rifle out and shoot a few boxes of shells one last time. He was leaving next day to fight the big one. Another big one was World War II, I'm sure. He prayed one last time, meant until he returned to the Pacific. Europe was whatever was Army sent him for. He had shot a couple of rocks, a few stumps, and even 2 or 3 old cans. He walked from his house up the holler to near the top of Polk Gap. He had spent most of his 19 years hiking, plundering around, hunting in this holler. His thoughts drifted back to the first squirrels and deer that he had killed, and the many pheasants he'd gotten. Jim started looking to his right and up the point, trying to see if he could see his sitting tree, a large beech with big horizontal limbs about 10 foot above the ground. A perfect spot to sit and survey the whole upper section of the holler and ridgetop. About 20 feet above the ground, its many other limbs formed a perfect canopy. He had spent many hours hunting and daydreaming despite the difficulty of getting up on the perch. Well, he smiled as he saw the tree about 50 yards above him. He started to walk that direction when he saw someone standing there. His smile faded. Something made him very uneasy. He waved again. He started to yell a greeting. A chill went up his backbone. His hair stood up. He realized what he felt was uneasy. Whoever or whatever was standing at his tree was leaning on his sitting limb. His shoulders were above the limb and his arms were draped over it. Couldn't be too far to tell. Now that is what was standing. Lord have mercy, he said. That makes at least 12 to 14 feet tall. Wow. He stood there staring, unable to move. Even light faded. The creature stared back, not moving. It seemed to be covered in gray, whitish hair, except for his face, which looked like a man. The woods were growing dark. The sky seemed to glow through the treetops. The creature stared at him, and Jim noticed that its eyes were glowing a faint red. His nerves broke. He fired his last rounds toward the monster, aiming low, trying to scare it. He turned to walk back down the holler and found himself running as fast as he could. He caught a glimpse. The Polk Gap monster was chasing him. Oh my goodness. He ran down the holler, terror gave him speed. He tripped a few times once, but many times he fell. Though he kept running, darkness was almost upon him. So the creature and the noise it made was like a whirlwind in the trees. It was even with him now, dropping lower and lower off the ridges and down on the point. Now it was ahead, even closer to the holler. If it made the mouth of the holler for him, he would be trapped. Wow. Finally it grew lighter. He came out of the dark trees. His home was only a long dash away. The noise was overwhelming. He jumped the fence and made the porch. The door wouldn't open. He heard his heart pounding. Wow. He looked back and saw no creature. Wow, can you imagine that? Well, we're going to go walk this trail here. I'm going to go meet the girls. First, I'm going to go down to the falls, look at it a few minutes and show you all the falls. And then we're going to go walk this Polk Gap Monster Trail. All right, let's head over that way and we'll go see what we find out today. Well, looks like there's a lot more water in this thing than was last time I was here. We've had, over where I live, we had 3 to 5 inches of rain in the last few days. And that front went back up, and it's supposed to come back around and get us again here in a few days. But yeah. Looks more like old falls now than what it did last time I was here. It's called the name of another park, Twinfall. Got another set of these falls on down the creek here. All right, let's go meet the girls to see if we can find this Polk monster they talk about. All right, get y'all in the deal. Well, we're sitting here waiting on Nancy to come up from the vehicle. We're just sitting here, the baby girl, the boss girl, sitting here eating her cheese peanut butter cracker. I was going to tell you a little story that was told to me when I was just a little boy from my dad about these monsters or cryptids or whatever you want to call them. He said one time they were playing cards back in the mountains, and they all was drinking a little bit, and they were sitting there and it was dark. There was a big old log down the hill from them that was moss all over it. He said that they all looked down the hill, and up that log came this thing crawling up this log, had fire coming out of its mouth, red eyes like fire, and on its tail was like something from a Jurassic Park, and it was pulling the stump up, the pieces of the wood out of the bark of the tree as it come up through there, and said one of those guys sitting there had a heart attack and died right there on the side. And they had to carry him out of there, and they thought the police officers thought that they may have killed him, but that was the story of it. It scared this guy so bad that he had a heart attack. Well, my dad was there, and he said it was one of the scariest things he ever seen or heard in his life. He said it sounded evil. So there's many stories from back in the day. And Amanda's told me one story about something looking in through the window at her when she was just a little girl. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was, my bedroom was upstairs, and I stayed up late on the weekends, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was playing on my computer, and I looked over out my window, and there was this creature. It was flying. It had big old wings. It had like lion paws and a horse face, and it had red eyes, and it was just there in my window. And I screamed. I ran and got my mom, but it was gone by the time we got back in there, and I haven't seen it since. But wow. Other people around where I live said that they've saw it.
Wow, so there's so many stories and stuff from time back, and especially the older folks will tell you stories that will make your hair stand up. Well, that right there will be enough to make all my hair stand up for seeing something like that looking through the window at me, for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of stories out there. Well, I think I see Nancy coming up the hill there. Yep. Like she's found something for the baby there. I think a bottle or something.
Bottle of milk. So
we're going to head on up this trail here. See if we see any signs of him. Right here.
All right, I'm Nancy Stevens. I'm from Long Branch, Martin County, lovely Kentucky. The holler, it was always told that it was haunted because you could walk up the holler, something to follow you, a dark shadow. And as you come out of the holler, it will follow you. If you run, it will stay pace with you. And a lot of people, even till this day, will not walk that holler after dark.
Wow. You know, Amanda's telling me she started up this trail, started here several times, and then ain't got nowhere with it. So we're going to see what we can do today, see if we can
Well, that's
walk it
when
today.
she started screaming. Is about the same place that she got that's when she started crying.
Well, we've been walking for a while and haven't seen much of anything, but have come upon this strange X-like structure. One bent tree right here. I've heard that some types of creatures do that right there. Them bends, and that's strange. How it's even hanging up there like that high, without falling to the ground. That's really odd. And right here's another little one, arch like, that's bent down under, put under these logs right here. Strange. Now, I don't know what does it. Kind of strange though. I've walked these woods many years and noticed stuff like that, but I never paid attention to it, what it was. We still don't know what it is. It's odd though. So far we ain't seen him yet, or seen, well, there's a being like too, arched plumb over. I don't know. Surely eerily quiet here, for sure. They done went on around the hill out there. The baby was crying, but it's all turned plumb quiet now. Eerie quiet. Just heard something just now. I don't know. Get on out that way. Her sitting investigating the forest. Oaks has found her a wilderness horsey to ride. Watch her. Yeah. Get up, horsey. Go, horsey. Yeah. Yeah. Sitting and resting in a spell, ain't it? Girl has to sit and rest a minute. Well, we've been walking on this trail for quite a long ways. We're almost at the top of the mountain to where this incident was supposed to have happened. But look at this rock cliff, folks. A place where a person could get themselves out of a storm, rainstorm if they wanted to, or a snowstorm. Wow. Look, a good place for a rattlesnake too. Look back in there. You know, look like water has cut through this cliff here at one time. Look at how that's open there in the end. It's wild, isn't it?
And a tree growing on top.
And a great big old tree on the top of it. Well, you could get out of the weather right there easy, couldn't you? Well, one of them done passed out here. Feel like we're about to pass out. Are we halfway yet?
I don't know. I gotta check my map.
Okay. Y'all look at this here, how cold this is. Back in here. It's cut out way back in there. Back in this rock cliff. Like the supports on the top, like it's water's cut through here many years ago. Wow. That's too cool, ain't it? Well, we made it to the top. We're all about up, but all but fell over dead, tired here though. Little Oak, she's asleep. She's passed out there, looks like. Well, we're up on the top. This is actually where the place was where the guy was going to the tree that he hunted by and saw this figure standing by it. He thought it was somebody, but when he got closer, it was much too tall to be somebody. And then it actually run him off of this hill, and he ran all the way home out of this holler. Can you imagine running all the way out of this holler from where we came from? Wow. This is, I'd love to find the beech tree he was at, but he said it was right on the top of the mountain out by the graveyard. So
Gotta go right through there.
we're gonna ease around through there when we rest a spell. Wow. We got a huge tree across the trail. How'd she do that with that baby? She is
You have to be a mother.
one tough
to know.
little lady. She climbed over top of this. I wish I'd have got that on video. Look at this lady here. She's what? She's a pure mountain woman. Oh.
What I was telling him.
Here I was trying to find a way around, and she done crawled through the center of all this tree lapse. She's out there now. We come up on a graveyard. Old graveyard. You never know what you're going to find back in these woods. Wow. Just little babies, ain't they? This is Silas Phillips, May 15th, 1870, April 6th, 1930. Wow. This is a Phillips. There's old graveyards, folks, all in these hills of Appalachia. And I'm sure there are in a lot of other parts of the country. But you can go walking on these trails and stuff and come right into stuff like this right here. This is, some of these are very, very old, 1800s. Wow. Well, folks, I just want to show you this one here, this stone. We started up looking for the Polk monster, and we ended up in the graveyard. What do you think about that? But look here. This person here. What was the name? Joel Brady Tilley. June 6th, 1876. Died January 3rd, 1977. This person was 101 years old. Wow. Man. Lived a long, long time. Well, looks like they're done. We'll see if we can get off this hill before it gets dark. We've been out here all day, and we still ain't got down here to where we're parked yet. It's gonna be a while. So let's head on down that way. Well, everybody, we got that Polk Trail walked. We didn't see no monster or anything, but we seen some interesting things along the way. It was 3.5 miles that she said, felt like 6 to me. We had a lot of trees over the trail, had to go down around them and stuff like that, as you'll see in the video. But we got that all walked out. We got one more person to talk to before I close the video out. So we'll see if we can get up with them and get their little story, if we can. And let's go see what they got to say. I want to take you along with me to this last little part of this video of these cryptids and all. I'm down an old lonely railroad track. Not being used anymore. This lady talks about seeing this thing or running right into it and filling it with her hands one night. Let me read you a little bit about it here. It says, deep in the Appalachian Mountains in 1958, 66 years ago, on this dark, lonely night about 4 a.m., this girl named Easter had left the house to walk to the neighbor's house. She would walk the old tracks there quite a bit, back and forth, did it all the time. It was easy walking, she would travel it. This particular night, she had to borrow a baby bottle nipple from a neighbor because they had run out of him. She was walking along and felt something like something had been watching her, and it was almost total darkness, about like it is right now. And I'm down here about where it happened at, and she didn't even have a light to see by. So she reaches her hand out and feels in the darkness, and her hand goes against something hairy right up close to her face. Real thick hair. It was standing in front of me, she said, upright and very, very big. Said it was terrifying. She said it never made a sound, so I ran as fast as I could back home all the way, not knowing if it was chasing me or not. Wow. Can you imagine? Well, I'll tell you right now, I turn this light off right here. Right now. Let me get up. Here, got the dogs barking and everything back there somewhere. It is dark here. Can you imagine being down this old lonely railroad track, just a young girl, and run into some kind of hairy beast in the night and can't even see at all, and reach out and touch something like that? Wow. That is something. Well, folks, I thought I'd bring you along with me tonight, and I just want to thank you so much for coming along, and we'll see you next time on Appalachian Roots with Dan. See y'all later.